When we think about giant corporations, we often see them as part of the problem. But what if they could actually be part of the solution to the world's biggest challenges? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into a framework that shows exactly how that might be possible. I mean, it sounds a little crazy, right? When we're talking about global problems, we're talking about these massive, super complex issues that even entire governments struggle with. So where on earth does a single business even begin? So the world basically has a to-do list, these 17 goals, the SDGs. And they cover everything you can imagine, from climate action to gender equality. But here's the thing, they were really designed for countries, not for companies. And that's left a lot of businesses kind of scratching their heads, wondering how they can genuinely help out. And that's really the heart of the problem, isn't it? For any single organization, these goals can feel, well, just overwhelmingly abstract. They're just too big to know where to start. And look, this isn't just some academic idea. As Claudia Rivera from Grupo Nutresa says here, even the biggest companies are asking this exact question. They actually want to help, but figuring out how to translate these huge global goals into concrete business actions, well, that's the real challenge. So how do we bridge that gap? Well, the key is a concept you might have heard of in economics, but it has a really powerful new application here. It's all about understanding a company's ripple effect. The secret sauce, if you will, is a surprisingly simple idea: externalities. All this means is the unintended side effects of doing business, the impact a company has on the world that doesn't show up on its own balance sheet. And this slide just makes it so easy to understand. A positive externality is like that amazing smell coming from a local bakery. It's a free benefit for the whole neighborhood. A negative one? Well, that's the noise from that same bakery's delivery truck at 4 in the morning, a cost the community has to deal with. This simple idea, managing the good and bad side effects, is the key to this entire framework. So by focusing on managing these externalities, maximizing the good smells and minimizing the loud trucks, to put it simply, companies can turn those massive SDGs into a practical, real-world action plan. Let's check out how it works. Okay, so the framework basically has 3 core steps. First, you take all 17 SDGs and simplify them, grouping them into 6 logical categories. Second, you map those categories onto the different stages of a business. And third, you identify specific actions a company can take. Simple as that. And here it is. This is how it all comes together. See that flow from left to right? That's the business value chain. Everything from getting supplies to when a product is thrown away. Now look at the top. Those are all the actions that create positive side effects or externalities. And along the bottom, you see the actions that reduce the negative ones. So let's break that down. On the positive side, it's about how business activities can directly help society. They can increase knowledge through things like job training and innovation. They can increase wealth by providing decent work and promoting equality. And they can increase health with better products and wellness programs. Then on the flip side of that coin, it's all about minimizing harm. And that means actively working to reduce a company's footprint on natural resources, making sure it isn't damaging society through inequality or corruption, and of course, tackling the huge problem of waste and overconsumption. Okay, this all sounds pretty great in theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at how some pretty major companies are proving that doing good is also really good for the bottom line. Now, this diagram might look a little complex at first, but it shows the engine that makes this whole thing run. Just follow the arrows. When a company invests internally in its own people or its processes, it creates positive benefits for the community. And then, when a company invests externally, like directly in that community's health or education, it creates a stronger workforce and customer base, which flows right back as a direct benefit to the business. It's an incredible feedback loop. It really becomes this amazing, virtuous cycle. A healthier, better educated community means you have a more productive workforce and a stronger customer base. And a more efficient, sustainable business reduces its own costs and builds a really powerful brand reputation. Each side just makes the other one stronger. Let's make this real. Take Unilever. Internally, they have an employee wellness program that creates a healthier, more productive workforce. That's a direct business win. But then externally, their Lifeway hand-washing campaign improves public health, which not only saves lives, but also builds massive brand loyalty and creates a healthier population of potential customers. See how it works? Or how about Schneider Electric? They do the exact same thing with energy. Internally, they slash their costs and their carbon footprint by using renewable power in their own buildings.
Then externally, their program to bring solar power to off-grid communities doesn't just improve lives, it builds their reputation and develops future markets that will one day need their products.
And one more fantastic example, HP. Internally, their recycling programs for old printers and cartridges cut their own material costs. And then externally, they partner on these huge projects to stop plastic from reaching the ocean. This tackles a massive environmental problem while securing their reputation as a responsible company people want to do business with. So when you put all of this together, what does it all add up to? Well, it's way more than just a series of nice projects. It actually represents a fundamental rethinking of what the goal of a business should even be. And this isn't about charity. It's not about philanthropy. It's about a strategic shift. It's about finally recognizing that the long-term health of a company is directly tied to the health of the communities and the planet it operates on. It's about creating sustainable value for everyone. And, this quote from the source material just sums it up perfectly. By focusing on these side effects, on these externalities, any company can shift from being a contributor to the world's problems to being a really powerful part of the solution. So that leaves us with one final huge question. We know this framework is possible. We see it working. The challenge now is moving it from being the exception to being the rule. So what's it going to take to make doing good the new normal standard for doing business?